Good morning, guys, and welcome to this day number 4 of our course ESET 500. This is our Azure Security Technologies course. So, well, as I previously mentioned, this is our day number 4, so we already covered the first 3 modules. The first module was related with the management of identity and access. The second module in the day number 2, this were related with the platform protection. In this second day, we cover some topics related with perimeter security, network security, host security, and also some small overview of the container security. In the day number 3, in this case, yesterday, we covered some topics related with data and application security. So some of those topics were the Azure Key Vault, the application security, storage security, and well, it includes also this module 3, some general database security. Today we're gonna reach the end of the content with our module number 4. So this is now module number 4 is related with security operations. So we are going to see 3 different features. For example, we're going to talk about the Azure Monitor. Also, we're going to include Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and we're going to cover a general overview of Azure Sentinel. So guys, let me make a brief introduction. Thank you again for joining us today. My name is Andres Ibarra. I'm an NCT, and well, for those who are joining us for the first time, well, let me share with you that I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. Also, some of my previous experience were related with, well, I used to work for a Mexican bank as an IT analyst for a couple of years. Then I had the possibility to join to a big organization related with aluminum can manufacturing. So I have the possibility to be the team leader of implementing the whole IT infrastructure of one new aluminum can plant. It was such a great experience, a completely different experience from the bank. And well, I was like an active guy at that point of my life. So I decided to move to another new environment, and I started discovering this awesome world of the cloud. I started with Azure features, and well, let me share with you. Okay, here we go. This is me. And you can see some of my certifications at the bottom. So at the moment, I am preparing to get the last certification released for the security path. This is related with the SC100 course. So well, I'm so excited to complete my security path and continue discovering some another amazing features from Azure. This is a short introduction for me, for all of you guys that are joining us for the very first time. So also a kindly reminder, it's related with, well, in this case, we have an amazing team helping us with that Q&A section. You can post your comments right there. We're going to work in 2 different parts of this session. The first 2 hours are going to be related with talking about some theory. Then we move to a 30 minutes coffee break, or you can see it as a lunch break. You can take your favorite snack, or also have some water, or stretch a little bit. And the second part of this day number 4 is going to be related with continue the previous lab activities. So maybe some of you remember that on previous days we cover some black practices already. For example, in the day one, we covered some basic activity related with the assignment of some roles and granting access to some identities, implementing Azure policies, using multi-factor authentication and conditional access. For the day number two, we cover some lab activities related with the network security. So in those activities, maybe you implement the Azure firewall, or well, you discover how to implement security using for your Azure Kubernetes services. Yesterday, we covered some activities related with Key-Vault or securing Azure SQL databases and service endpoints. Today, we're going to cover the following topics, guys. This is going to be the lesson related for the day number 4. You can see that it's going to be a short day of content, but those are very interesting features. First of all, we're going to talk about the Azure Monitor. Then we're going to discover this feature that is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. It is a huge and important and very interesting tool. And we're going to discover and relate this Microsoft Defender for Cloud with the SIEM tool that Microsoft offers. In this case, we have this Microsoft Sentinel feature. Once that we talk and cover these topics related with these 3 lessons, well, we're going to move to our lab environment. So in our lab environment, we're going to, again, in the same way as you can see right here, we're going to cover some lab practices related with monitoring information with the Azure Monitor. Also, discover the Azure Security Center and start using Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Finally, we can learn and start implementing some parts of Microsoft Sentinel. This is going to be a general overview. Well, Microsoft Sentinel, it is a very interesting tool also, due to we can do a lot of data ingestion, and well, we can start running queries to obtain additional information and view the security, the complete security status of our organization. Also make some threat hunting and further analysis. But well, today we're going to have just only a general overview, and the lab we're going to cover some parts of Azure Sentinel. With that in mind, guys, well, I think it's a good time to start our lesson number 1. So this lesson number 1, again, this is related with the Azure Monitor. Another candid reminder is that, well, we're gonna, in each lesson, we have different objectives that we're gonna cover. For example, we are gonna be able to identify how to create and customize alerts. We're going to be able to monitor security logs with the Azure Monitor, and also we can configure diagnostic logging and log retention policies. So, guys, this is the objectives that we're going to cover in this lesson number 1 of Azure Monitor. So maybe you're thinking, well, what is this repeatedly Azure Monitor feature that Andres said? In this case, you can see it right here. It's a very straightforward definition. The Azure Monitor is going to help us to maximize the availability to perform. Well, it's going to bring us performance, and also for our applications and services. So it's going to deliver a comprehensive solution for collecting, analyzing, and acting on telemetry from our cloud and also on-premise environments. So this Azure Monitor, right here, let's check it. the Azure Monitor offers a consolidated pipeline, and this is going to be used for routing any of our monitoring data into a SIEM tool. That's why this SIEM tool, let's remember this definition. SIEM means that we're going to be able to link to a security information and event management feature, all this in the Security Center. For example, let's analyze this diagram. This diagram right here. Well, on the left side of the figure, we have some different sources. So this is going to be where we are going to generate the information that we're going to ingest. These are, for example, applications, agents running in operating systems, information obtained directly from Azure resources, information related with our subscriptions, or directly with some information provided from our Azure tenant. We have also the possibility, well, to connect different and external sources. That's why we have this last option related with custom sources. So again, on the left side of the figure, those are the sources of monitoring data that are going to populate these data stores. Then we're going to move to the right side. So right here, there are different functions that the Azure Monitor is going to perform. For example, we're going to get insights of all this processed information. In a central point or with a central feature, we're going to visualize what's happening with these sources. Also, well, once that we generate information, we can analyze with metrics, discovering the log analytics. What is the status of, for example, our applications, or if the operating system is sending us important information to take into account. Once that we analyze, we're going to be able to take response. This is going to be a way to take action. That's why we're mentioning this concept of SIEM. This is a SIEM tool. It's a security information and event management. Finally, with this integration, well, remember that we can integrate all this information, for example, in an event hub, with logic applications, or, well, in this case, we can start ingesting and then explore these APIs. So, well, remember the previous diagram right here? This part of the right, let me clean a little bit. Okay, here we go. This metric part and log part that is in the middle. Let's talk about. Let's take a deeper view of this. For example, that Azure Monitor collects is going to fit into one of two fundamental types. For example, it's going to be or a metric, or also it could be considered. So let's define, you can see right here, the metric definition and the log definition. The metrics are going to be the numerical values that describe aspects of a system at a point in time. So they are lightweight and capable of supporting near real-time scenarios. You can see right here that this is the performance of monitoring and assigning metrics for a source. For example, again, this could be an application and a system Azure resources, third-party services and applications. On the other hand, well, we have logs. These logs are going to contain different kinds of data, different sets of properties for each type. So we're going to, these logs store telemetry. For example, this stores events, and also it's going to trace and performance data. So then it can be all combined for a further analysis. Right here, well, the picture are really small, guys, but we can start using also filter precision information of different data sources and start doing our analysis. So for many resources, we will find the data that Azure Monitor collects right in the resources overview page in the Azure portal. So also this could check out any virtual machine instance, and for example, we will notice several charts displaying performance metrics when we visit this portal. So we can select any of the graphs to open, for example, right here, open just this. And well, we can see more in detail all the data. So this allows us to chart the values of multiple metrics over time. We can view also the charts interactively, or also if we have one favorite or one that we require to validate many times at the day or during the week, well, we can select specifically that, and we can add a particular pin. Let's, for example, place a pin right here. Here we go. With a lot of imagination, this is a pin. So we can visit this pin, and it's gonna be displayed in the dashboard. To view this chart with also another visualizations, right, guys? So this is the difference between the metrics and the logs that the Azure Monitor collects and separates. Also, well, let's talk more about this log analytic service. So we have a very straightforward definitions of log, guys. For example, this Azure Log Analytic, it's a service that helps us to collect and analyze data that is generated by resources in our cloud or also in our on-premise environments, right? So this is going to give us a real-time insights by using these integrated search and custom dashboards to readily and analyze millions of records across all our workloads and also servers, regardless where are they physically located. So as you can see, for example, we are going to get from these virtual machines or from our Azure resources this data ingestion. So we are going to get events, syslogs. In this case, we are going to be able to monitor what is the performance of our virtual machines, and well, we have so many other information related for our virtual machines or for our resources. For example, Azure activity and the usage of these resources. We can create custom logs, and the same way, many other use of this information. So this is going to live in an analytic workspace, and we can filter this information right here by query and so on. So in this case, we're going to have this At the center of this log analytics is the log analytic workspace. So this is gonna be hosted directly in Azure. Log analytic collects data in the workspaces from connected sources by configuring data sources and also adding solutions to our subscription. So these data sources and solutions, each of them they are gonna create record types, each with its own set of properties. We can still analyze sources and solutions together in queries to the workspace, but it's important that we need to know how to implement these queries in a proper way. But in this case, well, let's mention that this capability allows us to use the same tools and methods to work with a variety of data collected by a variety of sources, just using a single query. So another important thing to mention right here, guys, is that the connected sources are the computers and also other resources that generate the data that log analytics collects. For example, let's imagine, as I probably mentioned, that we have an agent that gets information directly from an operating system. So this could be used as a source, and this includes, well, an agent running on Windows or running on Linux computers that directly connect, or agents that exist in a connected system center operation management group. So the log analytics can also collect data, for example, from an Azure storage account. Then, well, it's important to mention too that this log analytics the information for these data sources. The data sources consist in one of the various kinds of data collected from each connected source. These sources include events, performance data from, it could be a Windows operating system or Linux operating system, and from those are used. In this case, we're using agents in addition to sources as Microsoft Internet Information Services, or in this case, this is known as IIS. So also we can get the information from these information services from Microsoft, also from this IIS, or specify directly custom text logs. We can configure each data source that we want to collect, and the configuration is going to be automatically delivered to each connected source. Just to mention 4 ways that exist actually to collect this log information and metrics for Azure services. We can start mentioning, first of all, from the Azure Diagnostics, we can ingest directly to log analytics. From Azure Diagnostic 2, you can use this Azure Diagnostic to Azure Storage to log analytics. Another way to collect logs or metrics is using connectors for Azure services, or last but not least, we can choose scripts to collect and then post data into this log analytics. Right, guys? So, well, the definition is very straightforward, guys. Collect and analyze resource data. It could be for cloud services or on-premise services. Then we have, well, these connected sources. At the beginning of the slides, we saw some examples right here. of the connected sources. So let's take it back. These connected sources. Here we go. The connected sources are implemented to, again, to do all this for generate data. So we have this series of 5 steps process to get the data. This small diagram. First of all, the log analytics service is gonna collect data and, well, it's gonna store in a repository. You can see right here. We are gonna get information and it's gonna be stored all this from our on-premise infrastructure or from our cloud service. Then store. The repository is hosted in Azure, so the connected source provides information to the log analytics service. Then we have our third part of this diagram. We have some computer agents. These computer agents are gonna generate the data to the log analytics service. You can see right here that all the information flows to this part in Azure. So these agents can run on Windows or Linux computers, virtual or physical computers, on-premise or cloud computers, and Azure or other cloud provider services. In the next step, we can see that, well, it's important to mention this SCOM term. This is related with System Center Operations Manager, SCOM. So with an SCOM management group, this can be connected to a log analytics. So these SCOM agents or these System Center Operation Manager agents, in the step number 4, are gonna communicate with the management server, which forwards events and formats to the data of the data to the log analytics. And then our fifth step is related with an Azure storage account can also collect Azure Diagnostic data from a worker role, web role, or also from a virtual machine in Azure. This information can be sent also to the log analytics service. So this is how the connected sources provide all the time. Then, well, what happens if we need to identify important information? We can generate alerts with the Azure Monitor. So, as the name said, it's gonna help us to notify important activities and actions. We can mention in this way that alerts help us to detect and address issues before users notice them by proactively notifying us when the Azure Monitor data indicates that there may be a problem in our infrastructure, or also we have a problem with an application. So this another tool monitor, it's gonna verify and validate our telemetry and capture a signal that indicates that something is happening on a specific target. So, well, in this case, we're gonna select the target resource to monitor. Then we're gonna add the condition to define as the signal, and well, we're gonna define the logic. So the alert rule captures the signal and checks if the signal meets the criteria or the condition. If the conditions are met, an alert is going to be triggered, and this alert is going to initiate the associated action group and updates the state of the alert. So that's why we're going to have this notification, and it's going to maybe notify a team or automate a workflow to start performing actions. These alerts, well, we can add severity. This could be from 0 to 4, and well, we can administer this with the Azure Monitor alerts. We can administer with new, acknowledge, and closed status, right? Then we have this part related with the Azure Diagnostics. So the Azure Monitor Diagnostics are logs, and these logs are produced by Azure services that provide rich, frequently collected data about the operations of that specific service. For example, the Azure Monitor makes two different types of diagnostic logs available. You can see right here, one of them, tenant logs, and also the other type is related with the resource logs. So this is very straightforward, guys. The first one related with these logs come from a tenant level services that exist outside an Azure subscription. For example, we can have logs from Azure Active Directory. This is just one example. Then let's think, for example, in the resource logs. These logs come from an Azure service that deploy resources within an Azure subscription, such as, for example, network security group. We covered this network security group in our day number 2. We covered this Azure Active Directory feature in the day number 1 related with, oh, sorry, my mouse is kind of tricky. Here we go. Azure, just to remember, Azure Active Directory, we saw it in the very first day. This is related with identity protection, and it's gonna be the central point where we can manage all our identities, group it, and also assign licenses, roles. So this is related with the day number 1. The resource logs that we are using, for example, is a network security group. Just remember that this works in a similar way as a firewall, but it's gonna work directly between connected different Azure resources on the cloud. So we can have one resource right here, resource 1, with a lot of imagination, resource 2, here we go. So once that we know these features of, for example, Azure Active Directory or network security related with some of these platform protection with network security groups, well, all these features, we can ingest the information that they generate through tenant logs or resource logs. So the content of these logs may vary by Azure service and also from the resource type. Again, taking this example of the network security groups, these network security full counters and Azure key vault audits are two different types of diagnostic logs. But those are gonna be part of the resource logs. These logs differ from the activity log So what is the difference? In this case, the activity log provides insight into the operations, such as creating a virtual machine or deleting a logic gap that Azure Resource Manager perform on resources in our subscription usage. Let's mention too that this activity log, this is gonna work as in a subscription level log. So the resource level diagnostic logs provides insights into operations that were performed with that resource itself, such as getting a secret from a key vault. These logs also differ from guest operating systems. For example, OS level diagnostic logs, guest operating system logs. Those are gonna be collected by an agent running inside the virtual machines or other supported resource type. The resource level diagnostic logs, those are not going to require a specific agent and capture resource-specific data directly from the Azure platform itself. So this is whereas the guest OS level, operating system level diagnostic logs capture data from the operating system and also the applications running inside that virtual machine, right? So this is how we implement these diagnostic settings in the monitor section in our Azure portal. We can select the category, for example, if it is going to be a log, a metric, and well, if we are going to archive to a storage account, if we are going to process the information and send to a log analytic, or if we want to work with a third-party data analysis tool, well, we can stream to directly this information to an event hub to connect these third-party applications. So, with that in mind, guys, we're reaching our next lesson of today. As I previously mentioned, this is going to be a short day of theory. So once that we finish, well, the remaining time, we noticed that some people have been facing some issues trying to access to the lab environment. So I'm going to share in a quick way how to access to the lab activities and how to start doing your lab practices, right? But well, this is going to be at the end of the first part. It's going to be just for reference. We're going to cover this first part. Again, we're going to take a 30 minutes break. And when you are ready to take your lab activities, well, we can use this second part of the session to continue with your lab practices. And also remember that it's a Q&A section where you can leave your questions or a chat area where you can leave your comments. So let's take back our content and let's start talking about these Microsoft Defender for Cloud features. For example, you can see right here for this specific lesson number 2, we have different objectives that we are going to cover. For example, we are going to monitor security by using Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So with these guys, we are going to be able to evaluate vulnerability scans directly from Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Also, well, for particular connections to our virtual machines, we are going to describe this, how to configure just-in-time virtual machine access by using Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Also, we are going to be able to configure policies. For example, We can configure centralized policies management by using Defender for Cloud, or configure compliance policies and evaluate for compliance, again, using this Microsoft Defender for tool. So this is going to lead us to know what is a cyber kill chain attack, how to protect it, our organization with Defender for Cloud features. We're going to discover what is the security center and how to implement these previously mentioned policies about centralized policy management or compliance policies. We're going to have some recommendations from the security center to validate our overall security posture. This is going to bring us a security score. So also it's going to bring us assessment, and we're going to be able to take action to these recommendations to improve our security score and discover some of the most common brute force attacks and how to protect our virtual machines. So, well, let's start with our first objective. And, well, maybe it's the first time that you see something like this. This is a representation of a cyber kill chain. Maybe you're wondering, well, what is this cyber kill chain? So let's start with a small description. So that's this complete picture. It's all the process, cyber kill chain, and this describes the typical workflow, including techniques, tactics, and procedures of, well, in this case we have attackers that tries to infiltrate and get data from our organization network and also from our systems. So I remember that in the day number 2, I mentioned some of these kind of attack. One attack that some people outside our organization tries to implement. For example, one of them was a DDoS attack. So, well, we have different kind of attacks, but one of them is this cyber kill chain. For example, let's analyze. Let's take a deeper view of each of these steps. This is a common known 8 steps process. So all the cybersecurity companies know and recognize these 8 steps of this cyber kill chain process. The first of all, it's the reconnaissance process. So this is the observation stage where the attackers access our network and service all this to identify possible targets and techniques to gain entry. So they are gonna start making this kind of scouting. Then they are gonna start an intrusion. So these attackers, once that they make this scouting and generate information and discover possible targets to gain entry, well, use their knowledge again in the reconnaissance process to get access to a part of our network. This often involves exploring a flaw or security hole. Then we have this exploitation process. So this phase involves exploiting vulnerabilities and also start inserting malicious code onto the system to get all additional access. Once that they are inside our organization or on the system, they are going to try to get privilege escalation. So the attackers often try to gain administrative access to compromise systems so they can get access to more critical data and more, well, once that they are inside, they are gonna move into other connected systems. This is gonna be related with the lateral movement. This is step number 5 of this cyber kill chain process. So this is the act of moving laterally to connected servers, and well, they are gonna gain greater access to potential data. The number 6 phase of this cyber kill chain is related with obfuscation or anti-forensics process. So this is to successfully put off a cyber attack. The attackers at this point, they are gonna make the housekeeping, and the attackers need to cover their entry and actions. So they will often compromise data and clear the audit logs to try to prevent detection by any security team. Finally, well, we are going to start making or visualizing some damage or changes inside our organization. So, for example, this is going to be the phase number 7, the denial of service. This phase involves disruption or normal access for specific users or specific systems to keep the attack from being monitored, tracked, or also for our security administrators to block the possible attack. Then, once that they gain complete access, they begin the exfiltration final phase. So this is the final extraction stage. They are gonna get valuable data out of a compromised system. So, well, these are the different types of attacks that are associated with each stage, and they target many different subsystems. So that's why Security Center is was thinking at the beginning to combat this kill chain process, and now we're going to be able to discover some attacks of these of these kind of attackers. So we're going to be able to stop it from the beginning, right? Let me clean a little bit. Here we go. So, well, that's why we have this Microsoft Security Center and Microsoft Defender for Cloud features. So let's start with a small definition of these. Microsoft Defender for Cloud features. In this case, Microsoft Defender for Cloud is going to provide us a centralized view of our Azure resources and their active security state. So it provides integrated security monitoring and policy management across our Azure subscription. Also, remember guys that this Microsoft Defender for Cloud feature is going to help us detect threats that might otherwise go maybe unnoticed inside our network or inside our resources, and works with a broad ecosystem of security solutions, right? So these solutions are delivered through some of the following capabilities. You can see right here in the small diagram, we have the prevention, the detection, and the response. So these capabilities, for example, the first one related with prevention, the Security Center is going to monitor the state of our Azure resources based on how we configure the security policies for our organization. Also, these could be implemented for applications and data. So we are gonna prevent, then we're gonna detect. Security Center is gonna automatically collect and analyze security data from Azure resources, also from the network and partner solutions like anti-malware, or in this case, it could be also a firewall. So it's going to take advantage of global threat intelligence from Microsoft products and services. So the Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit and also the Microsoft Security Response Center, or also external teams. So we're going to have this assessment from these products and services, and we're going to be able to detect when something wrong is happening, when something different is occurring in our organization. Then we're going to be able to take a response. So Security Center is going to provide us with prioritized security and incident alerts. It offers insight into the resource of an attack, into the source of an attack, and any impacted resource along with suggestions of how to stop the current attack and help prevent additional or future attacks. So as you can see that we have continuous assessment. We are going to be able to protect Azure environment, hybrid environment, or also multi-cloud environments. It's going to be a central hub for monitoring. We can tailor security policies to ensure compliance, and well, it's going to provide prevention recommendations or also alerts. We have two different tiers for the use of this feature. We have a free version, but remember, this is going to be a limited experience for our organization. And well, we can enable Microsoft Defender for Cloud with all their features. So just to continue, it's important to mention that Security Center integrated cloud workload protection platform. Maybe you're going to see this as CWPP. This concept of Security Center integrated cloud workload protection platform. This is going to bring us advanced intelligent protection for our Azure and hybrid resources and workloads. So this is going to be by enabling Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And well, it's going to bring a range of additional security features as well. We are going to describe in the next slides. So we can turn on or enable Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and this is going to move from the basic tier. When we enable this enhanced protection, well, this is going to enable the complete features of cloud. Now, remember that all of these features are going to work with security policies. So, security policy, remember that we can think with the policy term as rules. Always, you can see it in this way. So, a security policy defines a set of controls that are recommended for resources with a specified subscription. So in the Azure Security Center, we can define policies for our Azure subscriptions according to our company security requirements and the type of applications or sensitivity of the data in each subscription. So right here, you can see some of the Security Center policy, we have some industry and regulatory standard, or we create our custom initiatives. So in Microsoft Defender Security Center, we can define these policies for our Azure subscriptions according to our company security requirements. In this case, it's important to mention, well, it sounds amazing, the possibility to start implementing policies and configure custom initiatives. But, well, it's important that some actions that you're going to perform in your tenant, at least you should have the appropriate role to this activity. In this case, we saw the role, some roles in the first part of our day one related with Azure Active Directory, and Azure Identity Protection. Remember that, well, we have specific roles with administrative capabilities. So in the same way for this security center policies, we named, in this case, Defender for Cloud is going to use Azure role-based access control. This is known also as RBAC. Role-based access control, RBAC. So we're going to use with Defender for Cloud this RBAC feature, which provides built-in roles that we can assign directly to a specific user or a group of users, and also services. So when users open Defender for Cloud, they see only information related to the resources they can access. So this means that users are assigned to the role of owner or a contributor, or one with least privilege could be the reader role to the resource subscription. But to manage in an additional way these features, we have two specific Defender for Cloud roles. For example, we have the security reader and the security admin. In this case, what could be the difference? Well, the main difference, let's discover each of them. For example, the security reader, one of these two roles, it has the rights to view Defender for Cloud items, such as recommendations, alerts, discover the policies, and the health status. But, as the name says, security reader. So this reader user can't make changes. On the other hand, the security administrator, well, this user is going to have the same view rights as the security reader, but also can update the security policies. And in this case, if it is managing some alerts, this user can dismiss these alerts. Another important thing is that, well, we can start implementing these security policies, but also we can edit our policies using the Azure portal. This is one example, a screenshot, or for example, how to edit the policies in the Azure portal. Or, well, we can edit security policies through REST API or using Windows PowerShell. Well, previously we mentioned that we have additional recommendations from the Security Center. So you can see that right here we have a security score, and the resource health. So we can notice which of our resources are unhealthy, which ones are healthy, and which ones, well, it doesn't apply at all. But well, on the other hand, we have the list of recommendations to be applied right here. So each time that let's take it from the top, guys. By default, we have prevention policies, and those are turned on by default. So these policies covers, for example, networks, containers, app services, compute apps, virtual machine scale sets, data storage, and as you can see right here, identity and access. These prevention policies and recommendations are tied to each other. In other words, if we enable a prevention policy such as OS vulnerabilities, that then enables recommendations for that policy. Recommendations give suggestions on how to better secure our resources. So we can start implementing a recommendation by following the remediation steps provided in that recommendation. For example, right here, we can remediate vulnerabilities if we open and expand this section, or this recommendation. This is going to lead us to the steps in order to remediate this potential improvement, and also give us, in a certain way, what is going to be the amount of improvement to our security score once that we apply these recommendations. So in most situations, you want to enable all the policies, even though some might be more important for your organization than others. But again, this is going to be related and depending on the Azure resources that you have deployed. So the following action is going to be generate list. You can see this list. So this generated list is going to provide the types of recommendations that those are going to help us to providing full visibility into the security health of our environment. Now, after reviewing all the recommendations and decide which ones you can use, you can start remediating this health status. One best practice that Microsoft highly recommend to implement is to start. It's to prioritize the security controls with the highest potential to increase our security score. For example, you can see right here that in this case, this is the highest priority that we should take and to start improving to get an scores increase. In this case, it's going to be related with a total of 6 points. Well, you can see that you can filter, and this potential score, well, it's going to be maybe with less priority, or it is not going to take too much impact in our security center secure score. Also, well, once that we mentioned this secure score, you can see that this is a small screenshot to analyze how well it's protected from various threats our environment. The security score feature is going to be very helpful. So graphically, you can see it looks great to have a summary of the status of our security score. So with so many services offering security benefits, in this case, it's often hard to know which or what steps we are going to take first to help the security of our organization and harden our workloads. So that's why Azure Security Score is going to be very helpful, and this is going to review our security recommendations and prioritize them all for us. So as we previously saw here, we have, let me clean a little bit. Oh, let me clean everything. Here we go. So you can see right here controls, and it is gonna help us providing. Oh, sorry, I thought my mouse is acting on. Again, let me take it from the top. We have, in this case, you can see the priority is could be the first actions to be taken into account. So with this security score, well, automatically it's gonna give us these recommendations, priorities. So this is helpful when we find the most serious security vulnerabilities, and in this way we can prioritize our the investigation of that. So Azure Security Score helps us to assess our workload security posture, and well, actually there are one process to calculate this security score. For example, Security Center mimics the work of a security analyst and reviewing our security recommendations and applying advanced algorithms to determine how crucial each recommendation is. So the Security Center also constantly is going to review our active recommendations and calculates our security score based on them. So the score of our recommendation is derived from its sensitivity and from security best practices that will affect our workload security the most. Also, well, you can see right here that it's going to provide an at the end, it's going to provide an overall security score. So that this overall security score is the accumulation of all our recommendation scores. We can view our overall security score across our subscriptions or management groups, depending on what we want to select. For example, you can see that we are looking directly to a particular subscription, and which is the security score related with each of them. So to check these recommendations impact to our secure score, we can view the top 3 most impactful recommendations of the Security Center dashboard, or also we can sort the recommendations on the recommendation list plate using the security score impact column. Right? Again, this view is very helpful because it provides a summary view of our secure score. Now, well, we mentioned previously that we need to enable, we have some basic tier of free tier, and we have the complete tier of this Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So enabling Microsoft Defender for Cloud, it's going to extend the capability of Security Center to workloads running in private or also other public clouds. This is going to provide unified security management and threat protection across our hybrid clouds workloads. Using this, well, we are going to be able to work with we're gonna get several benefits. For example, we can extend this protection of Microsoft Defender for endpoints. So this is gonna Microsoft Defender for cloud servers is gonna include Microsoft Defender for endpoint, and all this for comprehensive endpoint detection and response. Also, we have the vulnerability scanning for our virtual machines and container registries. So this is an easily deployed scanner, to all our virtual machines, and it is going to provide the industry most advanced solution for vulnerability management. So we can view, investigate, and remediate the findings directly with this security center. For hybrid environments, well, also we have hybrid security. So we can get a unified view of security across all our on-premise and cloud workloads. Also, we can apply security policies and continuously assess the security of our hybrid cloud workloads to ensure compliance with security standards. With that in mind, guys, well, we can collect, search, and analyze security data, again, from multiple sources, including firewalls or other partner solutions. If we have, if we detect any threat, well, we have these threat protection alerts. So these provide advanced behavioral analytics and the Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph. All these features provide an edge over evolving cyber attacks. So this is built in behavioral analytics and machine learning. So this can identify attacks, for example, zero-day exploits. And with this, we can monitor the networks, machines, phone services for incoming attacks, and post-breach activity. So you can see that we can bring several benefits from this Microsoft Defender for Cloud. That's why at the beginning of this session, we mentioned that those are some interesting features and very powerful tools. And well, we can get so many additional benefits. For example, access and application controls. So with this, we can block malware and other unwanted applications by applying machine learning forward recommendations, all this adapted to our specific workloads to create a low or denied list. So this allow ordinality list is going to reduce the network attack surface with just-in-time control access to management ports, for example, to Azure virtual machines. These access and application controls also drastically reduce the exposure to brute force attacks and other different kind of network attacks. We can mention a couple of additional benefits of Microsoft Defender for Cloud, for example, the container security features and threat protections for resources connected to the Azure environment. In this case, container security features, well, this is going to provide real-time threat protection on our containerized environments. On the other hand, this last benefit that we can identify is this threat protection for resources connected to Azure environment. Microsoft Cloud, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, it's going to include Azure-native threat protection for the Azure services common to all our resources. For example, the resource manager Azure DNS, Azure Network Layer, and Azure Key Vault. So let's move to some different kind of tools to protect our organization and particularly our virtual machines against these brute force attacks. So when it comes to managing Azure virtual machines, well, it is very common that the administrators usually use remote desktop for connect Windows operating systems, or also the SSH protocol for connecting Linux computers. So this is going to be related for Windows, and this is going to be related for Linux. So, well, these are the protocols used to connect remotely to a virtual machine. But also, this is the initial method to get access to these virtual machines. Well, in this case, the remote desktop protocol the attackers can use these brute force attacks. Just a quick reminder that the brute force attack consists of checking out a possible username or password until the correct one is found. So, well, you can see that this could take a lot of time, and this is not the most sophisticated attack type. But well, they can all the bad actors can implement this kind of attack very easily or in a very simple way. So they are gonna try to use this amount of usernames and general passwords. So to block these RDP brute force attacks, we can take measures, different measures. For example, we can disable the public IP addresses and use one of the connected methods that we saw in the model number 2. For example, using a point to site virtual private network. Also, we can extend the protection, well, using a site-to-site virtual private network, using Azure Express Route, or using Azure Bastion. And a different way to protect our organization, well, this is during the connection process. This is for the connection. Well, during designing process, oh, you can see my mouse is acting on again. Let me clear a little bit. Here we go. So we have this connection part and this authentication part. So this is another highly recommended way to mitigate these brute force attacks. For example, if if an attacker has the possibility to match a username and a password, well, if we have a multi-factor authentication, it doesn't matter that this attacker has the main username or also the correct password. They need to validate validate their identity using the mobile phone, using biometric, or using a smart card. So that's why it is highly recommended to implement this two-factor authentication process. Also, well, if it is required for particular servers or sensitive process, it is important to design and implement complex passwords. Well, This last point is gonna be related with the just-in-time access. So we can limit the time that a certain port is gonna be open. We don't have access. We establish this just-in-time period, so we're gonna have access, and these ports are gonna be open. And then when this time boundary ends, well, again, these ports are gonna remain closed. That's why we are covering, we are reaching this topic related with just-in-time virtual machine access. We already saw some of them in the module number 2, but let's take it back, because this is a way to protect our devices, our virtual devices. So Microsoft Defender for Cloud implements as a last method the use of this just-in-time virtual machine access, which allows us to help secure remote access on one or more virtual machines. And why did I say this as a last method? Well, in this case, it is more recommended the use of other different methods, for example, the use of Azure Bastion. But well, in this case, if we require to connect directly to a virtual machine without the using of Azure Bastion, the other way to protect this virtual machine, the virtual machine access, is through this just-in-time time boundary. So just-in-time virtual machine access is going to reduce the exposure of time of privilege and increases our visibility into the use of these privileged accounts. So when we enable just-in-time virtual machine access for our virtual machines, we can create a policy that determines the ports to help protect how long the ports should remain open, and also the approved IP addresses that can access directly to these ports. So also this policy helps us to stay in control of what users can do when they require access. So these requests are logged into the Azure Activity Log, and in this way we can easily monitor or audit this access from the users. This policy also helps us to quickly identify the existing virtual machines that we have in just-in-time virtual machine access enabled, and that virtual machines where just-in-time virtual machine access should be recommended. We have particular reasons or some scenarios that this just-in-time virtual machine process is not recommended at all. For example, we cannot recommend the use of this just-in-time virtual machine access because maybe in our virtual network architecture there are missing some network security groups. So maybe we need to add and require these network security groups to be in place. Also, according to the virtual machine deployment, for example, if we're deploying a classic virtual machine, this Security Center just-in-time virtual machine access currently supports only virtual machines deployed through the Azure Resource Manager. So a classic deployment is not going to be supported by this just-in-time solution. Well, one last different scenario: a virtual machine. When a virtual machine is in this category of other, well, if the just-in-time solution is turned off in the security policy of the subscription or in the resource group, or if the virtual machine is missing a public IP and it doesn't have a network security group in place. So guys, this is that was our second lesson of today, and we are reaching the third and last lesson of today, and also the last lesson of our complete course. So remember that tomorrow we're going to have an exam prep session. This is going to be related to covering the most important topics that you should prepare in order to get ready to take your exam certification. Also, another highly recommended action that you can do in your study time is to be visiting the official learning path to take a deeper view of each of these topics, or again, continue practicing with your lab activities. With that in mind, well, let's visit this third lesson related with Microsoft Sentinel. Again, each lesson have different objectives that we are going to cover. So we're going to start knowing what is this SIEM tool or this Microsoft Sentinel feature. So also we're going to talk about how to create and customize alerts, how to configure data sources to Microsoft Sentinel, how to evaluate results from Microsoft Sentinel, configure a playbook for a security event using this Microsoft Sentinel, and also how to ingest data using data connector. At the end, we're going to mention some basics of hunting. So let's start mentioning this Sentinel definition. Previously, we saw this concept of SIEM. Oh, my bad. Let me clean a little bit. Here we go. Again, previously, during along this week, we saw a couple times this term of SIEM tool. And well, we're gonna make a special mixture of this SIEM term with SOAR. So first of all, this is a security information event management, and well, SOAR corresponds to security orchestration, automation, and response. So with that in mind, this is Microsoft Sentinel. This is a scalable, cloud-native SIEM and SOAR solution. So Microsoft Sentinel is going to deliver intelligent security analytics and threat intelligence across the whole enterprise. So this provides us a single solution for attack detection, threat visibility, and proactive hunting and threat response. So this is going to be our bird's eye view across the enterprise, alleviating the stress of increasingly sophisticated attacks, increasingly vulnerable alerts, and a long resolution time frames. So let's mention these key points. We can collect, detect information, detect suspicious activities, investigate, and respond. So when we collect data at the cloud scale, we can do this across all the users, devices, applications, and infrastructure. This could be in on-premise or in different clouds. When we collect this information, we can start detecting previously undetected threats and start minimizing the false positives using this Microsoft Analytics feature. And in this case, using all the experience related as many years from security tools from Microsoft. Then once that we detect, we can investigate threats with the use of artificial intelligence and start hunting for suspicious activities at scale. tapping again into years of this Microsoft experience. And well, remember that it's very important that time response. So we are going to be able to respond to incidents rapidly with built-in orchestration and automation of the common attacks. So this is a general overview of Microsoft Sentinel. Let's cover in a general way, well, how does this Sentinel works. For example, again, it's important to mention that we need to feed Azure Sentinel with information. So we are going to provide, or well, we're going to provide this information using data connectors. So already Microsoft Sentinel comes with a number of connectors from Microsoft solutions. So those are available out of the box, and all these provide real-time integration, including, for example, the Microsoft 365 Defender solutions, Microsoft 365 sources, including Office 365. We can connect data from Azure AD, Microsoft Defender for Identity, and Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. In this case, well, you can see right here this screenshot related with the Azure portal, and we are with the Microsoft Sentinel feature. So once that we are inside Microsoft Sentinel, we can choose the option related with data connectors. So you can see the number of connectors available and which of them are already connected. In this particular example where we are highlighting this Azure Kubernetes service connector, and this explains how does it work and also the status. For example, as being, well, Azure Kubernetes Service is part of Microsoft products. So that's why it identifies to Microsoft as provider. But well, it exists a connector, but it is not connected. So also brings us the status of this data connector. And well, once that we connect this, we start ingesting this information with the connector. We're gonna identify the amount of data received from this connector. So again, in addition, we can mention that there are built-in connectors to the broader security ecosystem for also non-Microsoft solutions. For this, we can use, we can also choose common event format, for example, syslog, or we can use REST APIs. All these to connect our data sources with Microsoft Sentinel and start ingesting all this data. On the other hand, well, we have workbooks. So these workbooks, after we connect our data sources to Microsoft Sentinel, we can start monitoring the data using the Microsoft Sentinel integration with the Azure Monitor workbooks. So again, one benefit of these workbooks, right here you can see again this screenshot, and also, well, just a quick reference, this is going to be the available options for Microsoft Sentinel. We have the general overview page. We can manage incidents. We can select workbooks. And well, in this case, previously we saw in the previous screenshot the data connectors. So this is how we configure Sentinel. And well, we have many other features, but just to identify it, where are placed these features. So in this case, again, these workbooks, while workbooks are displayed differently in Microsoft Sentinel, it may be useful for us to see how to create interactive reports with Azure Monitor workbooks. Microsoft Sentinel is going to allow us, in this case, to create custom workloads across our data, and also comes with a built-in workload templates to allow us to quickly gain insights across our data as soon as we connect a data source. In summary, well, these workbooks are intended for security operations center engineers and also analysts of all tiers to visualize data. And while the workbooks are best used for high-level use of Microsoft Sentinel data, and it's important to mention that no required coding knowledge. So, well, the limitation right here with this is that we cannot integrate workbooks with external data. On the other hand, well, we have the analytic rules or the active rules. So in this case, you can see the list of rules or the list of active rules right here, and the severity, also the status. So these analytic or active rules, we use them to help reduce the amount of, in this case, alerts. We have to review and investigate. When we are doing this, well, we have the benefit of using Microsoft Sentinel. So this Microsoft Sentinel feature automatically is going to use analytics to correlate alerts into incidents. So instead, reviewing and investigate one by one, now the incidents are going to be grouped of relevant alerts that together create an actionable possible threat that we can investigate and resolve at once. So we can choose these built-in correlation rules as is, or use them as starting point to build our own analytic or active rule. Microsoft Sentinel also provides machine learning rules to map our network behavior and then look for anomalies across our resources. This analytics connected is gonna relation in a certain way dots, or well, this analytics is gonna connect the dots by combining low fidelity alerts about different entities into potential high-fi, in a certain way, security incidents. Now, we're going to talk about some analytics rule templates that we have available. For example, after we have connected our data sources to Microsoft Sentinel, maybe we want to be notified when something suspicious happens in our organization. So that's why Microsoft Sentinel provides out-of-the-box built-in templates to help us create these threat detection rules. So the rule templates were designed by Microsoft Team security team. Well, this is based on known threats, common attack vectors, and suspicious activity escalation chains. These rules are created from these templates, and it will automatically search across our environment for any activity that looks suspicious. So many of these templates can be customized to search for particular activities, or well, we can filter them according to our particular needs. The alerts generated by these rules will create incidents that we can assign and investigate in our environment. So, for example, we can use out-of-the-box threat detections and start automating threat responses. On the other hand, well, what happens if we want to automate the process? For that, we have the playbooks in Microsoft Sentinel. For example, we can automate our command task and simplify security orchestration with playbooks that integrate with Azure services and our existing tools. So this is built on the foundation of Azure Logic Apps and Microsoft Sentinel automation and orchestration solution. Now it's going to be able to provide highly extensive architecture that enables scalable automation as new technologies and threats emerge. Again, to build playbooks with Azure Logic Apps, we can choose from a gallery of built-in playbooks. So also this includes more than, well, actually Microsoft Azure is, Azure Sentinel is providing up to more than 200 connectors, I think. But, well, in this case, those are going to be available in a gallery of built-in playbooks. So this connector, guys, allow us to apply any custom logic code. For example, ServiceNow, from Jira Software, from Zendesk, also from HTTP request, from Microsoft Teams, from Slack, also for Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection, or Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. So again, these playbooks are intended for Security Operations Center engineers and analysts of all tiers to automate and simplify tasks, including this data ingestion, enrichment, investigation, and remediation. These playbooks are going to work best with single repeatable tasks and require no coding knowledge. So playbooks are not suitable for ad hoc, or in this case for particularly complex task chains, or for documenting and sharing evidence. Now, well, let's mention, we previously mentioned these templates. So a playbook template, it's a pre-built test and ready-to-use workflow that can be customized to meet your needs. So these templates can also be served as a reference for best practices when deploying playbooks from scratch, or as inspiration for new automation scenarios. Playbook templates are not active playbooks by themselves until we create a playbook from that, or in this case, we use a copy from the template. So we can get these templates from different sources. For example, we can get from the playbook templates tab. Also, when a new version of the template is published, the active playbook created from the template list will be labeled with a notification that an update is available. So, well, a playbook template can also be obtained as part of Microsoft Sentinel solution in the context of a specific product. So, the deployment of this solution produce automatically an active playbook. And, well, last but not least, the Microsoft Sentinel GitHub repository contains many playbook templates that we can already see, so it can be deployed to an Azure subscription by selecting the Deploy to Azure button. You can see right here some samples of these playbooks. And, well, this is going to be a part of the automation of orchestration workflow. So playbooks in Microsoft Sentinel are based on workflow and on workflows built in Azure Logic Apps. So this is going to be a cloud service that helps us to schedule, automate, and orchestrate tasks and workflows across systems all to the enterprise. So this means that a playbook can take advantage of all the power capabilities of the built-in templates in Azure Logic Apps. Now, talking about Azure Logic Apps, this communicates with other systems and services using, again, connectors. So we have different ways to implement these connectors. For example, we have managed connector, custom connectors, Microsoft Sentinel connectors, or also we have triggers, actions, and dynamic fields. So those are ways to communicate Azure Logic Apps to Microsoft Sentinel. Now, the hunting process is related. We can use Sentinel after we discover a hunting query. Well, we can use this hunting query that provides high value insights into possible attacks, and also we can create custom detection rules based on the discovered and selected hunting query. So we can create a custom detection rules based on that query, and those insights as alerts are going to be able to generate security incident reports, and we can take action with this. Also, we can create bookmarks for interesting events, enable us to return them later, share them with others, or also group them with other correlating events to create a compelling incident for investigation. So we have right here in Azure, as you can see, Microsoft Sentinel, and we have this hunting section. So we have a built-in query with a hunting dashboard. So this hunting dashboard is going to provide ready-to-made query examples. All these are designed to get us familiar with these tables and also with the query language. For that, we're going to use a particular language that is the KQL. This is related with QSTO query language. So queries are going to run on data store in log tables, such as for process creation, DNS events, or other event types. So these built-in hunting queries are developed by Microsoft security researchers on a continuous basis, both adding new queries, or also they create this fine-tuning process to the queries, always to provide us with an entry point to look for new detections and figure out where to start hunting from the beginnings of new attacks. So we can use these queries before, during, and after a compromise to take some of the following action. For example, before an incident occurs, waiting on detection, it is not the best option. We need to take proactive action, and we can do this by running any threat hunting queries related to the data that we are ingesting in our workspace at least once a week. Then the results of this proactive hunting
This is going to provide an early insight into events that may confirm that a compromise is in process, or this will at least show weaker areas in our environment that are at risk, and maybe we need to pay more attention or detail. And well, in this case, during a compromise, well, we can use this live stream to run a specific query constantly, presenting results as they come in. So we can use live stream when we need to actively monitor user events, such as if we need to verify whether a specific compromise is still taking place, to help determine a threat actor's next action, and towards the end of an investigation to confirm that this identified compromise is indeed over. Just to finish today's session, guys, well, we're going to finish with these hunting logs. So we can use the hunting dashboard to see these logs. Just to remember that hunting dashboard is going to enable us to run all our queries or select a subset in a single selection. In the Microsoft Sentinel portal, we're going to select, again, hunting. So the table shown lists all the queries written by Microsoft Team Security. And well, each query provides a description of what it hunts for and what kind of data it's gonna turn us back. So these queries are grouped by their NITRE, ATT, and CK tactics. So the icons on the right are gonna categorize the type of threat, such as initial access, persistence, and also exfiltration. You can see right here one sample, and also if you want to modify these queries, well, you're gonna be able to always edit and save custom queries. So also we have default queries that we can implement, functions, and tables. In this case, if you need to run different queries, you can start opening new tabs. And again, you can use the built-in queries or edit it by your own. With that, guys, well, we're reaching the end of our content of today. And I'm going to take this additional time to show you, just for all those users that, well, we noticed that some users didn't have the possibility or the experience already to access to the lab environment. So I'm going to give you a quick reference for that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now, and let me open my lab environment, show you how does it work. Please hold on, guys, bear with me. And here we go. Let me open my demo lab environment. It's gonna take just a few. So we're gonna see, it's important to validate your email account. In your email accounts, you should receive all the instructions to access to the lab environment. But well, in a general way, this is gonna lead us to a main page related with cloud. Please hold on. Okay, here we go. This is gonna lead us to a page related with cloudweeks.learnondemand.net, and you will see something like this. It is loading my calendar and also my lab environment. Please hold on, guys. Let me start sharing my screen. Okay, I think it is taking too much time, but please bear with me. This is gonna be just here we go. You should be able to see by now my screen. I apologize about the inconvenience. Too much time. But well, this is a reference of what you are going to find in the section. So you can see that I am visiting this cloudweeks.learnondemand.net, and well, in the documentation that you have provided by email, access to this section. So each module contains each module that we cover on the previous days. For example, day 1 related with managed identity and access. It has its own activities. For example, we can see that the lab 1 to the lab related with implementing directory synchronizations. This is going to be related to day number 1. Here we go. Implement directory synchronizations. Well, be related to our first day of lab practices. Then we have the next one for the day number 2. So these are related with day 2, for example, container security lab activities, network security, Azure firewall. Also configuring and securing Azure Kubernetes service. Then we have the next related with the day number 3, implement Key Vault, securing Azure SQL database and service endpoints. And in our day number 4, we're going to work with the last. Those are related with using the Azure Monitor, the Azure Security Center, and Azure Sentinel. So the important thing right here, guys, is that, well, let's choose the first one. Just to reference, we're going to hit right here the launch button. It's going to deploy a window, and this window it's going to load and demo tenant with the global administrator user. So this window is going to be two-part window. The information that this is going to provide on the left is going to be the view of the virtual machine. That is going to provide on the right. It's going to be the instructions and also the name of your global administrator user, the passwords provided, and also the complete name of the tenant. Remember, guys, it's important to take into account that it's going to take a couple of minutes. So it depends on your internet connection. In my particular case, well, due to I am doing this live stream event, maybe I'm facing some internet issues. It's very straightforward, guys. You're going to have into the parts. The first part is related to the view of your virtual access, and the second one is going to contain all the instructions. So you can start moving between 3 different tabs. These tabs are related with the instructions, the reference, the help, and well, once that it load my window, be able to show you. Just bear with me, guys. Give me just a couple of, just 1 minute. And then here we go. The first part is related with virtual machine, tab, resource tab, and the instructions tab, the machine. And right here in this instructions tab, I'm going to be able to continue the activities, clicking right here on next. So I am gonna receive some instructions, and it's gonna provide me how to do each task. So once that I finish each task, I'm gonna be able to mark as complete this activity, and automatically it's gonna provide me the overall progress of this lab activity. So you can start doing your activities. This is gonna provide you a feedback of your overall complete progress. And once that you finish your activity, well, you're gonna hit right here the corner button of the right, and you can end your virtual experience. So in this case, I'm gonna end my lab. It was just for reference. I'm going to close the window. And well, just to end today's session, guys, I'm going to open my camera, and I'm going to say thank you to all of you for joining us during these 4 days of session. Also, tomorrow we're going to continue with the exam prep session. So again, thank you so much. This is we are ending the first part of our day number 4. We're going to have 30 minutes break. So in the next 30 minutes, you can take some water, have your favorite snack, and move to the other Q&A section or with the lab section and continue with your lab activities. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.